Hello, everybody. Okay, who is so excited for today's topic? Nobody knows except us. And honestly, I feel today we are talking about our super awesome Amanda Kanini-Dyer. We're really going to get to know you, right? Because what we know is you are this multidimensional traveler. You are somebody who's just so magical beyond belief. You specialize in the spiritual map of your soul, Lightbody Activations, quantum energetic healing, and just every other magical thing possible. And so we really want to get to know who Amanda is.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I just got to put my phone on silent.
That's okay.
So my phone has just gone off. So let me just put that on silent. It's always on silent, but I was mowing the grass earlier. So that's who I am.
Oh my God, you're a multi-dimensional traveler and a landscaper.
Yeah. That's what I was doing. Yeah, I was doing some weeding and mowing the grass.
So you're grounding. See, grounding.
I like that.
Do you have AIDS in your soul contract?
Yes, I do.
Somewhere, yes.
As it stands, yes. As it stands. Yeah. So sorry, ask me that question again. What was your original question?
We just want to know. We really want to get into and understand more of the magic of who Amanda is. So why don't you walk us through your journey of really how you became who you are today? And then we can get into what you do professionally, because I can't even put it into words. I've experienced it and it's magical, but I can't explain to people what it is that you do other than magic.
Okay, cool. Okay. So, I was born on the 22nd of June, which was a Saturday, 1968. And my mum had wanted a girl born on a Saturday, and she was going to name her Amanda. And I came just as she said I would, and I was named Amanda. And with that as well, my dad had always called me Amma, because Amma is Ghanaian for a girl born on a Saturday. So it all worked out really well for them. So born, grew up. I guess I got to a kind of age whereby I was around, I remember being about 7 or 8, because it was in our new house. My parents bought a new house when I was about 7 years old. And I remember being in the kitchen most Saturdays with my mum, because my mum used to bake bread and do all kinds of baking and frying fish and all that kind of stuff on a Saturday. And I would just talk to her while she was doing her stuff. And she started just telling me a lot of spiritual things. So I think I started learning about the age of 7. And realizing that my mum and dad had this whole other life, whole other world going on, with a whole other kind of understanding. And as we would be talking, she would be telling me about how certain people would come into the space, or come into the kitchen, the room, like her dad would have come in, or her mum would come in, or people would have appeared in the room, and she'd just talk as if it was just normal. So I kind of grew up not knowing any different, or not feeling any different. It was normal.
But to clarify, when you say she would talk about people coming in, you're talking about spirits coming into the room.
Spirits coming into the room
that you couldn't see, but she's just like your grandma, your grandpa, your aunt, your guide, whoever is here.
Yeah.
So did you ever see or feel through her?
Sorry?
Even when you were a young kid. So when you were young and your mum was telling you this, did you have any sensations at all as a kid, or was it just like being told a sort of fairy tale at that stage?
It didn't feel like a fairy tale. It just felt like, I suppose it was because the way she was saying it, and she was telling me. So it didn't feel like a fairy tale. It just felt like, okay, so this was what it was like. I didn't know anything else. So I hadn't been in a world whereby people told you all of this thing was weird, or it was crazy, or this didn't happen. I hadn't been indoctrinated like that. So it felt normal that this is what, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, obviously everybody's having these conversations with their parents. This is how it is. So I didn't know anything different. And I think that's what that was about. So I was very comfortable with those conversations. And so I kind of grew like that. I kind of, and because of who she was, and my mum was a kind of
she was what you'd call a kind of like medicine woman in the area.
where we lived. So a lot of people would come to her for certain things. And when I say certain things, like help, if they needed help with they were going through certain troubles in their life or different things like that, a lot of people would come to her for, you know what I mean? She would create different baths and different oils and different things like that for them. So she was very much like that. My dad was, and so my mum and dad, very much within our family, they were the kind of elders who a lot of people came to speak to if things were happening, if they needed advice and stuff like that. They came to my mum and dad. So I guess we just kind of grew like that. I didn't know anything different. Do you know what I mean? And so as I grew like that, my mum and dad, they used to, I remember going to secondary school. And it's really interesting because when I went to secondary school, I first went to secondary school with a friend from my old school. But then when I hit kind of like quite earlier on in my first year, I formed another group of friends, and they were a mixture of friends. I had Hindu, Muslim, I had a whole assortment of friends. And so in the playground at playtime, we wouldn't be running around crazy and doing all that kind of crazy stuff. We would literally be sitting down there talking about all our different religions and how God worked or how this worked or how that worked. And that's what we would be talking about. Do you know what I mean? So, and just learning, I would be learning other people's kind of how they lived and how they saw spirit and how they saw God and things like that. And that's how I grew. We went to a spiritual Baptist church. My mum and dad started going to a spiritual Baptist church, who was my dad's cousin. And they used to, well, that was a weird and wonderful church, that was. Used to go to that church every Friday night, but they used to also do things that you'd call kind of like exorcism and things like that. So I saw from a very young age really, really weird things and strange things and things that I saw with my own eye. I saw my uncle having something taken out of him, and I literally saw what it was that jumped out of him and ran to the door.
Was that the first thing you saw? What was the first thing you saw from that isn't obvious to everybody?
Do you know what? It might have been the first thing I saw. I think it was. I never thought about it actually, but it might have been the first thing I saw. And why I knew I saw what I saw. Sorry, because why I knew I was in the church. We all knew something was wrong because every time he was brought to my mum, because was the strangest story. He, oh God, can I even really say? He had been, I think he'd been cursed. He'd had some kind of thing put on him. And he came from a particular area. Okay, so my dad had always said that Cambridge taught and raised the spies. Oxford taught witches.
Mm.
Mm.
That's what I always understood. I think that's what my dad said. So the spies came from Cambridge and the witches and all that occult stuff came from Oxford.
So sure, I'm just going to jump in. There's a show I watched. I think it was on a streaming platform called A Discovery of Witches.
Yes, I love that.
They're at Oxford, right?
You know what? I love it, but now you said
it was Oxford.
I'm kind of blown. It is Oxford, isn't it? It was Oxford.
Yeah, it was Oxford. I'm sure. Anyway, great show, everyone. Yeah. Witches, demons, and vampires.
Yeah, and
anyway,
time travel.
I digress.
No,
and time travel.
And time travel.
Yes, everyone watch it.
It is phenomenal. It really, really is very, very good. Oh, it is so, so good. I had a story. I've got a story linked to that as well. So he had this whole issue. And so when the day came, he would go through moments whereby he would just freeze. He would freeze. He'd be rock solid when he froze. Mm. So if we went down on our knees to pray, if we went down, he stayed like that. He went into freeze mode and they would have to lift him folded like that on his knees to the front of the church to get cleared and whatever like that, and to kind of bring it back into his body and things like that. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so it was when he was finally cleared, whatever it was jumped out of him and ran. It looked like a little imp, looked like a little thing. Why I knew that it was real was because as I turned and looked, other people in the church turned and looked. And I think, I don't know if it's my mum or I heard somebody say, there it is, there it's going.
Wow.
So I knew that
Wow.
was very real.
Can
And
I
that-
ask you, is that like, I've never been to a Baptist church, right? I'm Greek Orthodox by, so like our
Is that
church
normal
is
for
very like,
spiritual Baptist?
nobody makes a sound. Everything is very strict. Like it's just, nothing like that would ever dare to happen. So is that common for a Baptist church, or is it because it was a spiritual Baptist church?
I think it might be because it was a spiritual Baptist church, because the next spiritual Baptist church that we went to, the bishop there, he was also doing all weird and wonderful things. And we also set up like a youth group. And that was where we started training in a lot of things as a youth group. So I think so, in the spiritual Baptist church, I think, a lot of people, they play a lot of drums, they play a lot of music. So there's a lot of drums and everything. So it's almost like people are what we call catching spirit. So, when you kind of like see on TV, you see those people sort of marching up and down the aisle, and they're all going a bit weird and crazy stuff like that. Yeah, they'll be doing all of that in the spiritual Baptist church. Funny thing was, though, my mum and dad were two people that never ever caught spirit. And I think I got it. I think not only that I got that kind of thing from them. Well, yeah, I'm just not showing up in the world like that, because that's just not looking great.
I love that. That is, I love
So
it.
I won't be doing none of that. So yeah, and then my mum and dad, they would get called to go and clean, to go and do all this kind of work, and also go and clean people's houses. My mum would always come home with all the stories and things like that of what happened when they went to clear somebody's house and stuff like that. And I remember her one time telling me about how they got to this house, and these worms just started coming up from the floor as they started, they sprinkled this and then stuff like that. And she would come back and tell me all the stories. My dad would come back and say, Jack Norrie, you couldn't get any information out of my dad. He was just not a storyteller. But my mum, she would come back and tell us everything that was going on. So, yeah, I grew up like that. All my siblings are gifted in some shape or form. So I was never sort of the odd one in the family. We were all the same.
It sounds like you always found a similar tribe to hang out with. Was there ever a time in your early adult, childhood or adulthood, that you did feel on the outer, or that you did realize that your experience wasn't typical?
Wasn't the norm, yeah.
No.
And
No.
I would have.
So you were never teased, you were never made to feel awkward, none of that ever came up in your experience?
No, and because as well, I guess I just couldn't really give a flying toenail.
Yes. I'm sure you were you then too.
So, I love it.
Yeah.
Do you know, I was always having these conversations. I think even when I went into my early teens, I was always looking for stuff. And plus, because, like I said, we formed a youth group at the church, but that youth group wasn't about, say, reading the Bible and stuff like that. It was about learning mediumship, learning how to read the cards, and learning how to channel, all of those type of things, until it got a bit dark. It went a bit dark because we were learning about magic and things like that, and it just got a bit dark. And I just said, yeah, I'm out once it started to get a bit dark. So I've always been, and that went up till I was about, how old was I when I had my 24, 25, I think, was when I left.
Were you treating people out of the group at this stage?
Was I doing?
Were you practicing as any kind of practitioner at this stage?
Yeah, I was doing readings. I used to do psychic readings.
Okay.
Used to do psychic readings, tarot cards. I was very, very well versed in tarot cards. And I also used to do spiritual work. So I used to do a lot of candle magic, things like that.
Magic?
Yeah.
What's candle magic?
Yeah, did you think we were just gonna brush over that?
Candle magic.
Well, candle magic is where you can intend a candle to burn for a certain thing, and there are candles that you can buy that are like 7-day candles. They're in a jar, and you can buy candles. They could be all different colors. So green, you'd burn for money. and things like that. Pink you'd burn for success, white you'd burn to clear. Can't remember what red was for. But they'd all be different. And then you'd have like the 7-day candles, whereby they'd have all the different colors. They'd have layers of different colors and stuff like that. And funny enough, just before we had that conversation, just before, you know, you were talking about Jewish stuff. We used to go buy these candles from the Jewish shop up in, I think it's, is it Hampstead? The shop was called the Egg Shop. I don't know why it was called that, but I have no idea. But they used to sell all these candles. So we used to go and buy them by the box. And so you dress the candles with different, say, like aromatherapy oils or even oils, different oils. And you would put what you want underneath the candle. You'd write it and you'd put it underneath the candle. And then you'd dress the candle.
So is
Not
this
in
rooted
clothes.
in like Wiccan or something?
It's kind of Wiccan, yeah. It is rooted in that. I would say it is. I would say it is. I think I've been a witch many lifetimes over. Or I call it Wiccan, you know what I mean? I mean, every time you use the term witch, people always just go to the dark side. But that's not who we were. And that was not how it was, that was never, you know, how it was. You can obviously have people that will cross over. There's a very thin line, just like, you know, with say like shamanism or shamanism. There's a
business,
there's a line.
Everything, yeah. Just everything, full stop. There is a line somewhere, people.
Exactly, that you can use for good or you can use for dark. And so or anything in between, you know. And so yeah, we used to do a lot of that that type of stuff. And so I used to do so I was working when I was much younger. Yeah. And I used to do what they call them, you know, like the fairs, the shows and things like that. So I'd be about, I don't know, 17, 18, probably younger, doing all these like fair shows and doing card readings and things like that.
That's a while.
Oh.
I know. And was
Yeah.
that your job, or did you also have, like, was it your side hustle or was it your job? Did you?
It was
also
a
have
side
job?
hustle.
Did you go? Okay.
No, that was a side hustle. It was definitely a side hustle. And I think because I was so young, I didn't really understand the responsibility of it. So I was just doing my thing and I was just good.
Just
and
telling people what was
I was
coming
having
up.
a great time. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But then once I got older and I had kids and a family, you suddenly start to realize, holy shit, this stuff is really serious. People are coming to you with real serious, because I used to work on the psychic line. And so, you know, and I
Like
used
the
to,
1-800?
yeah.
How was that? Come tell us about that experience.
She's
Like,
done everything,
that's
man.
another whole show.
And can I add, I did that too. It is a cutthroat
Oh my
business.
It is.
Oh my
Cutthroat.
Crazy.
Like other people would come in and like give you a really bad rating because they see you coming up. Like, it's
Oh my goodness.
cutthroat.
Oh, as in sabotage you kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was bizarre. Anyway,
Yeah.
please.
I worked for I worked for quite a good line at the time. It was quite a well-known line. Oh, that was so funny because I used to do the graveyard shift. So I used to work, what I call the graveyard shift was like at night. So I'd put the kids to bed and then I'd work through the night. You know, about 11 o'clock, I'd start working and go into the early hours of the morning until it got to a point whereby, one, I started to get really frightened because I'd have people in the room talking to me and like talking, like stuff like that. People's like mediumship things, they would come through and people would be, I remember one woman, she called and I was doing her the reading and I just had somebody standing next to me and she said to me, all of the stuff she was confirming, but she said, well, how are you getting all of this information? She said, where are you getting it from? And so I said to the person, well, who are you? And they said the name. I think her name was like Maureen or something like that or whatever. And then she goes, oh, I can't remember. It might be Mary Marine. So she goes, oh my God, she says, that's my sister-in-law. And she'd asked the question and the person was right in my ear. It frightened the living daylights out of me. And after a while, I started thinking, I don't like this kind of energy around me. I've got kids in the house. So I just didn't know, and I didn't like it. But I tell you, when I actually gave it up was when a lady came on the line. She was psychic. And while I'm shuffling the cards, she's shuffling the cards on the other side of the phone. Go figure. And you know, you got to pay by the minute for this, and it wasn't cheap for them.
No, they're expensive.
Yeah, it really is expensive. And so I'm saying this, and she goes, "Well, that's not what I'm seeing here." I just said, "Are you taking the mick?" And after a while, I just said, "You know what?" I said, "I think maybe you need to go and get a call, or go and I think you." I said to her, "I think you need to just ring back and maybe get somebody else, because I don't think we're really connecting." Because you could do that, or they can even say within the first 5 minutes, "We're not connecting," kind of thing, and they can go somewhere else. But when I contacted the company and I said to them, you know, I was really feeling like I just can't do this anymore. Unbeknownst to me, they listen on your calls, a lot of your calls. Because it's obviously quality control. I don't know if they listen or they listen to the recordings. So it's quality control. And they were the ones that said to me, "We don't really want you to leave," because they said it was...
Because you're amazing.
Well, they were kind of like saying that. And I was like, I don't really understand why. I said, because inside I felt quite petrified until it got to a point whereby I had stage fright, whereby as it was getting up to 11 o'clock when I start working, I started feeling like very anxious. And then didn't want the phone to ring, because you have to ring in, log on. Once you're logged in, the calls will start to come through. And I was always working, and it was really good. But they said, take a break. If you need to take a break, take a couple of weeks or whatever, and then, you know, come back when you feel fine. And I was just like, yeah, I'll do that. But so I took a break and I never kind of went back. But in the meantime, I got the call. Sorry, go on.
It just with those lines, like, I think no one really, I mean, you two are two top quality psychic ladies. I'm like, wow, you know, because the perception is that those lines are, I don't know.
Right. Frauds
or
cheap.
You know, but I would call and talk to both of you.
Any day.
Yeah.
Any day. Could we still do that now?
Just new respect. No, now I have a direct line now.
Right, yeah.
But no,
direct line, you do, yeah.
But did you make good money with that?
And how do they hire you? Do you have to give them a reading?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I contacted them. So do you make good money? Do you know what? I can't even really remember. I think I made kind of like pocket money, because the better you do, the more you tend to earn. Your at the time, I don't know what it's like now, but at the time it was, the more you did, after a while, your percentage went up. But in the beginning, quite a lot. So if somebody, say like if it was a £1.50 a minute, I have no idea what it is now, you know, you probably earned less than half of that. They took the rest. Do you know what I mean? And so, what was the other question you asked about that? You said...
how did they interview you? You know, did you need to give them a reading?
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm just impressed with the quality control here. Like, oh
no, there's a lot. There's a lot, because they want it
to be successful.
They want it to be successful. Yeah. They want it to be successful. And so, you know, they want to get really good people on. Do you know what I mean? That will have repeat callers and repeat callers and repeat callers. I mean, like, I remember one time back in the day, I had one person that I used to call or try and get a hold of continuously, and you would wait online to see when they became free, and you would try and ring and get them, and you just couldn't get them because they were fully booked. As soon as they came off, somebody jumped in. As soon as they came off, somebody jumped in, because they were very good. They were very
fascinating.
Good. So,
thank you for sharing.
That is same.
Yeah.
Did you work for Miss Cleo?
Miss Cleo? Who's Miss Cleo? Was that in the US?
She was this woman in the US. And does anybody know who that is? Kylie?
Yeah.
Okay. She'd have these, like, she'd be on at night. And it was this whole entire thing. She was actually like a psychic medium. And so people would call in and do the same thing. They'd call and pay by the minute. Yeah. And she would just start, and she'd give out all this information. And she built it. Actually, the story behind her was, it's not that she built this entire empire. It's the network then saw what was happening. And they built this entire business out of it. And so she ended up getting like in the words of you, is it Jack Nori that you always say?
Jack Nori.
Yeah, she ended up getting nothing. And so it's like this whole entire thing. But yeah, everyone here, they knew. She came on TV and she had this beautiful turban. And she was just like, I remember as a kid being like, how can I get a hold of a credit card so I could call?
This is like live TV, right?
Wild.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the universe was
No.
telling you, here's some anxiety so you could leave this thing and be
So
done
I could
with it.
leave it. And I think
And
I had
then-
to become more responsible,
Yeah.
you know? Because I had very, you know, apart from you getting the drunk people ringing up from all over the UK, you know, you get the Welsh drunk man rings up or whatever, the Scottish drunk man, or I don't know if I just got them, you know, the Irish drunk man ringing up in the middle of the night. You know, you got really serious calls. People were ringing up about things they were going through, different court cases and things like that. You know, these are really, really tough situations. So yeah, I got to a point whereby I felt stage fright. I couldn't get over it. So I thought, I'm out. I thought I'd just take some time out. And I didn't go back. That was at, oh God, how old was I? Oh, I don't really remember when that was. I had my kids, I was well into, and I had my house. So it would have been after 2000. So that's a big jump between what went on in the middle, between, say, like 16, 17, between I was in my late 20s when I was doing that. And in between that, I became a qualified aromatherapist, qualified reflexologist, qualified Indian head massage.
Oh,
I did.
I want.
You want that?
I so want.
Yeah.
I've been putting
Really?
them in for
We know what
years.
Amanda's
Oh my
doing at our
God.
retreat.
I don't even know
Protection
if I
head
can
massages.
do you know what? I don't even know if I can even remember the Indian head massage.
Oh,
You better
Amanda.
find out.
But the
One version of
aromatherapy,
you
the
will.
reflexology, I can. But I stopped doing it because I had nails.
Ooh, extra.
Mhm.
And I did Reiki. I became qualified in Reiki, Reiki master, Seikim as well, because Seikim is the one that deals with the fire element and everything else. I did that. And then I did, and in between all of that, I used to travel up to North London to do meditation. There wasn't a lot of places you could find around, say, London when I was younger, and before I had the kids, where you could learn, go and train, not even train, but go and learn meditation or be in groups whereby you could do meditation. So I used to go up to North London on a Sunday evening. I'd be the only young girl amongst all these old women, because you know all these old women, they're always training for mediumship or something, you know. And when you, like now you get a lot of young people that do mediumship, but back in the day, a medium, they were always like 100 years old, you know what I mean? Right. Always grey and everything, you know. Seemed like they were the only people that could talk to the dead. But yeah, so I used to travel up to North London, Tufnell Park to be fair, and I used to go there and learn mediumship and learn. Used to do like Indian, like drumming, like Native American Indian drumming and things, all different kinds of meditations and things like that. So I went there and I did that, and then I also became an EFT practitioner.
Oh my God, I love that. I had no idea.
Yeah,
We'll do some right now. Some is it here.
Yeah, and I
Here,
still
here.
use it. I still use that.
I
So
love
I combine that with divine healing. I do sometimes.
So right, so in divine healing, we do the karate chop. Thank
You
you.
do the
Laura.
karate chop, and so as soon as
Right.
they did that, I knew. what
Do
they
you
did.
add? Do you do when you do your divine healing sessions? And we're going to get into everything that you do. But do you implement more than just the karate chop?
No, not necessarily, but sometimes I think that somebody does need to do sort of like an EFT session. They do need an EFT session, because sometimes I feel that it's needed because of where people are and where people can be quite stuck.
Yeah.
And you know that one size doesn't fit all, and you need to do something else, because all of these points are release points, and it's a very powerful tool to use. I think sometimes though I think I got bored of how long it took because of the repetitiveness, and you've got to go through the different rounds. You've got to go through the different rounds. Right. And I'll tell you what as well, when you learn it, there's many different ways of getting to where you need to get to. It's quite fascinating that it's not just one. I think sometimes now how they put it out quite simple and quite easy. But when you do the actual training and you learn it through the different levels, there is different ways of accessing whatever it is that you need to access the trauma. There's like telling the story and you're tapping through it and all different kinds of ways of doing it. So I found it fascinating, but I was kind of getting locked in a place of learning. I was constantly learning. What's the next thing I can learn? What's the next thing I can learn? What's the next thing I can learn? And that's what I was doing. And then I sort of hit 24, had my first child, and I stopped kind of everything.
Hold on. You did all of that before you turned 24?
No, so EFT I did. Oh God, when did I do EFT? No. Actually, oh my God, I don't know.
But even everything else you mentioned.
Well, the psychic line was when she had kids, so we sort of jumped
when
back.
I had kids. So EFT might have come. Well, the Reiki and the Seikin came when I had kids. I might have had one or two of them. I've got 3, so I might have had one or two of them. Oh, and I also have got to add that I also trained as a life coach. I qualified as a life coach. That was quite funny, actually, because when I signed up for the life coach training, this was like back in the day, it was stupid money. It was like $2,000, and we're going back. Oh my God, 20 years, and it was $2,000. That was a lot of money. I used to do things back in the day whereby I would sign up for things. I had no idea how I was getting that money, and there was not a chance in hell that I was going to get $2,000. But I just said, if the course is for me, I'm going to do the course. And I remember I was driving home one day, I got this phone call, but it said that if you signed up for it and they put you into this kind of like lottery whereby, if you won, then 2 people would win the cost of the course. So they would pay for the course.
Oh.
So I thought, not a chance, because, there's not a chance I'm going to win. I was living in Streatham. The only people that win, they live in Cutmahaven on the Rye or Duckbury on the farm or something like that. They never really come from good old Streatham or Tooting, South London. They just don't. So I signed. So I put in my request, and I hadn't paid my deposit, but I don't know if I had or whatever. Anyway, I was driving home and somebody called me, and back in the day you could speak on your mobile phone while you're driving.
Mm-hmm.
So the person rang me and it said to me, "Is that Amanda?" "Yes, speaking." And they said, "Oh, I'm calling up from the London Academy of Coaching." I think that's what it's called. And they said to me, and I said, "Oh, hi." And they said to me, "You've signed up to do our coaching course for the next, I think it's about a year course, whatever it was." And I said, yeah. And then they said, "Well, congratulations. We're just ringing to tell you that you're one of the 2 people that have won the cost of the course." And I went, "Fuck off, Abigail. I know it's you." It was. I went to my sister.
Who was your sister?
She thought it was.
No, I thought it was my sister.
Oh,
yeah. So I was just like, "Fuck off! I know it's you messing about." And the woman goes, "I can assure you, I'm not Abigail."
That's amazing.
So yeah, I won the training.
Awesome.
That was like,
Meant to do it.
So,
Listen,
so I did it.
Right. When you're meant to do something, God will always find a way to bring that to you and make it happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I just need to go and rub Amanda's belly or something.
Yeah.
Some good luck.
No, imagine having Amanda as a life coach. Like, wow.
I know.
Oh, I know. She's just
I
everything.
found it really tough, though. I found it really tough. I think
the course.
I think the course was really good, and I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot, and I still use it in my work. But I think the partner who I partnered, you had to partner up with somebody, a buddy, because these were trainings you physically went to back in the day. It was not online at all. You physically went to, and you had to partner up with somebody to work with over time, so that you would coach them, and then they would coach you. And the person who I matched with, who I think she was terrible. She really was awful. And I've never had that experience since. But she was really bad. And I remember when we did it, we used to do our coaching evenings, we would do a 3-way call. So you'd have your what's it called? You know, the person that supports you,
A mentor.
your mentor. Perfect. That was it. You'd have them on the line. So you would organize a 3-way call. They stay on the line while you do the coaching so that they can monitor what you're saying, what you're doing, how it is. And then after you finished it, the person who you're monitoring, your buddy, they then leave the call and you have a chat with your mentor, stuff like that. And when I did that, last time I just said to her, I'm really struggling with this. And she goes, the problem's not you. It's not you. She goes, it's just you've just got a really kind of like a difficult one. She goes, but there are ways of working with it and you do have the tools. So, you know, persevere. But it was a real struggle. I found it really hard, but I use it in everything I do though.
Is the problem ever you?
No, I was about to say the problem is never. No, let's be honest.
Like there is no reality or timeline where that exists.
Yeah.
Okay, so
there are times when it obviously is me.
let's get to what you do now, because clearly you're magical beyond even my own comprehension.
I don't know about that.
But yes, you are standing a girlfriend. But how did you get to where you are today? And what is it that you are today outside of this goddess? I know.
Well, okay, so how did I get to where I am today? So as I was growing from, even before I had kids and things like that, I was doing, like I said, I was doing work and stuff like that. Oh my God, you know what I did? I forget to add, just in case people do want to know what I actually did. I also trained as a Louise Hay trainer.
Oh, cool.
Wow,
So
cool.
What does that mean though?
Well, that means that I can run Louise Hay workshops and things like that. Yeah.
We're going to be busy on our retreat.
Well, and
Amanda's doing everything.
Bloody no.
Yeah, we're supporting Amanda.
Sorry,
so
continue.
I didn't realize that when I think about it now, having this conversation, I realized that I've done a lot of things, but I have enjoyed my time doing it. Do you know what I mean? So I think I kind of like was doing readings, but more for family and friends and things like that. And I remember on a phone call once with my friend, one that I'd spent years. I met her on the Louise Hay training, and she was always saying, you know, you should do readings, you should really just start your own business and do readings. And I was like, yeah, I said, I just don't know if I just really want to be doing that. And after doing the calls, the lines, I was just kind of a bit jaded by it all. And I think what began to happen though was that, and funny enough, what began to happen was that after the Louise Hay course, I think on the last training, I spoke on the last one of our podcasts, I spoke about the fact that about blurting out stuff about spirit coming to you and you having information for people that, you know, usually I just don't speak. I just don't go and do that. Just jump in on people and say, listen, I've got a message for you. And that happened that was where I was when it happened on the Louise Hay training. And then as I began to work with a lot of women after that, I was doing readings a lot. I began to realize that my readings had changed and how I do the readings changed. And I simply didn't want to do readings anymore, whereby people were just void of any sort of responsibility in their lives. People came to me with things and questions whereby they just didn't take any responsibility. It was almost as if you say what you say and they think it's just going to it's weird. It's almost like how in my life I kind of have a mixture of, say, traditional medicine and, say, complementary medicine, like thing. I just don't, I'm not a person that would just go and sit at the doctors and just give me a pill and let's just get at it. And I have no understanding of what the illness or the disease or whatever, or the rash or whatever it is I have. If you tell me that I've got, say, rosacea or something, then I'm bet your bottom dollar I'm going to come home and have a look at what that is. I'm going to do everything I can to read up on it and understand what's going on. And so I kind of started feeling quite empty with what I was working with. I just knew that there was a lot more deeper. And then I began to see the agreements, and I don't like to call it contracts, the agreements that people were making with the people that were in their lives on the other side. I began to see the origin of it, the beginnings of it and things like that. And I remember speaking to somebody who's quite close to me. And I remember one time sitting them down and saying to them, look, you are splitting up with your wife because of this, this and that. You know, you were supposed to come into this world and follow a particular path spiritually. They were supposed to come in a sense after you, and you guys were supposed to connect, because I said, if you had been in the place where you should have been spiritually, you were going to be able to teach them and to bring them with you. They were coming into a lifetime whereby they were hoping to open, and they chose you. In the beginning, when they chose you, you didn't want to do the job because of you felt that you would be too stern, too rough, and too strong for them. And eventually you agreed. You agreed in a setting whereby that person would become your wife, you would have children, and you could grow like that. I said, you haven't fulfilled your part of the bargain. And it's like I said, it's like a roller coaster. And I explained it to them like this, that nobody has to follow the pathway or the pattern of what they planned. There is nothing to lock you into that. Not even your numerology birth chart.
Right.
Not even that locks
nothing.
You into it. Nothing locks you into
Not your
it.
astrology, not your nothing.
It doesn't. And I'll tell you why. Because it's a bit like a roller coaster. Now, if you don't like roller coasters, you don't like them, but you go to the roller coaster park with your friends or your family and you think, you know what, I'm going to do it. Today, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get on that roller coaster and I'm going to do it today. And you join that queue and it's a 4-hour queue. Do you know what I mean? And you're going up and up and up. And each moment you're going up and up and up, you're getting more. You're climbing up the stairs to get to the station where the whatever comes in. And you're thinking, oh God, I'm really scared. This is really not me, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I've been here 2 hours. I'm going to do it, and you're doing it and you're going up those steps one by one, hour after hour, minute after minute. And you can get within 25 minutes of that platform and you say, fudge it. You know what? I don't want to do it. I don't like it. I'm frightened. This doesn't make me feel good. Other people might enjoy it, but I don't. So I'm going. And everybody else will say to you, oh my God, but you've been in the queue for 3.5 hours. You say, so? I don't want to do it. And you turn around and you go the exit. There's always these exits points and you turn and you go back down. And I said, and people come into life like that. They change their mind. I said, and people have a right to change their mind. I said, especially if you're not where it is that you are supposed to be at in terms of working with them. So there is always other people that they have planned into their lives who they're supposed to go on or move on with. And I didn't know where that information came from, but I, as sure as hell, knew that what I was saying felt true to me. It was as true as anything, because I could see how it was all playing out. And they never listened. But they don't listen anyway. But that's how my readings changed, and that's how I went on to give my readings, to understand. So I started to look at what had happened, where it was coming from originally. Whatever situation somebody was brought to me, I could see physically, as if it was playing out, like how we are here today. I could see how it's playing out. I could see where it was going, what was going to happen, why it had formed like this, what was the original agreement, what was the original understanding, what were we doing here? And I remember saying to my friend, it really feels, at the time I said to her, it really feels like, it feels like, and I didn't have a word for it. I said, it feels like these agreements, soul agreements that people have. And I said, but is it soul contracts? Is it this? Is it that? And I thought, possibly. And I started looking for soul contracts at the time. And I said, it did not find it. And then one day, it must have been about a year later after the first conversation, I just said to her, I'm so fed up, because she kept saying, you should do it. And I said, I'm so fed up. I said, because I can't find what it is that I need to find. I said, and I need more backing, because people weren't really, and I think it wasn't about the people. I think it was about me. I didn't have the confidence. And sometimes you feel you need a piece of paper to have the confidence. I needed the and I think what it was, I needed somebody else to understand me, somebody else who could speak the same language, so that I could know that this is real, this is happening. And one day I just Googled, and up came soul contracts. And I thought, oh, let me see what this is about. And so I got in contact, and I just wanted the training. I didn't really want the reading, because what comes of it is like a mini reading. I wasn't really interested in the reading. I wanted the training.
Yeah.
And that was where I set off from. I got it. And
were you surprised by your experience of the reading though, when you had it? Like, did you get value out of the reading?
Well, I don't know if I did. I can't remember. I think I was focused on one thing. And even so, my chart was wrong.
Okay.
So my chart was slightly wrong. It was slightly wrong. It was slightly out. And I don't know. I knew that I had questions that I wanted to ask. And once I asked those questions, it just set in my head, it was a done deal. I'm doing this. And I just said, okay, sign me up. I'm going to do it. And sure enough, I have 11 twos. So that means 11-2 means like that. For me, it meant that once I hear something that I believe is true, then I'm good to go. But it needs to settle. I need to bring it in. I need to sort of, assimilate it and let it settle. Once I do, that's it. You can't switch me off it.
Right.
And that's what I'm doing. Yeah. And so I went and I did the training.
And so were you like a soul contract reader, like what we would understand that to be? Or did you sort of combine it in with all of your other sort of everything okay.
Yeah. So if you have a reading with me, it won't be like anybody else's reading. And I let people know that in the beginning, because I do tell them that I am psychic, I am intuitive. And so if that information comes through, then I will pass on that information. So in any kind of reading, so I don't go through all the different aspects. I jump about a lot. As well, for me, I read through all their different names. I'm looking at all their different names.
Right.
I'm also looking at their first names. I'm looking at a lot of different aspects of what's going on. And then I feel into where it is. What's the information? Because sometimes people don't need they don't need all the 7 aspects of whatever it is. And I don't believe that it is just 7 aspects, but they don't need that information. Sometimes you may spend a lot of time in, say, one part of the chart, or you may sit with one particular energy, and that's what they need the understanding of. But also, as well as that, I may have somebody come in. One time I had somebody's husband in the reading. I have a lot of people, different people come in, different guides, different whatever come in. And I had a husband in the reading with me. He thought he was a funny guy, because he was saying, I don't know why she's come to you. I don't know why she's paying you money for this. She could have just asked me. I just looked aside and I went, oh, funny guy.
Does he have a 19? Okay, so you were doing your readings the Amanda way, and then you got yourself into the healing arts with divine healing.
Oh, right. So I had always been doing healing, but I didn't know that I was going to do divine healing.
Right.
I kind of suffer from FOMO. So, everybody else was doing it, and it was like, people were speaking this language that I didn't understand, and it was like, I was like, well, do I have to do that? And I was told, well, not really, not if you don't resonate with it and stuff like that. And I just thought, oh, they're doing it. So I think it was maybe after I did 1, 2 and 3, I thought, yeah, I'm going to go do it. And that's where that came from. And then I did all of it because my friends were doing it, and I just thought, I'm not missing out.
Totally. And then you went into Lightbody.
Yeah. So here's the rub. I kind of did I kind of think I went and did the other stuff because in order for you to do Lightbody, you have to do the divine healing. At the time, you had to do up to level 3. And that was also hinged on it. I wanted the Lightbody. That's what I wanted. I wanted the training. Because I knew that's what I do.
Okay. So light body, like, okay, I guess like someone could say, okay, light body, that would be my energetic, ethereal light body, right? But I think in general, people don't really know or understand what that means. And I'll say, even for me, somebody who was even in the space of it, in the energy of it, I had no idea what it was. So for me, when I signed up for light body sessions with you, I didn't even know what I was signing up for. I just needed to be in session with you, right?
Mhm.
So can you give us, like, for example, we've all had light body here with you except Kylie.
Yeah.
Can you explain to Kylie and everybody else listening what light body is? Because I can't even begin to explain it.
Okay. So I'll put it like this then. I mean, I could do it like how I do it in a discovery call. But I think for the purposes of like now, I think my purpose in this world, I think, is to trigger people's memory about who they truly are. And then by doing that, allowing them to step into the truth of who they are, to step into the power of that, and to step into the sovereignty of that. I'm very big on sovereignty, and I'm very big on owning yourself. And of late, I've come to really understand that stepping into your power, everybody tells you, well, step into your power, step into your power. What does that really mean if you don't have a bloody clue what that is? Do you know what I mean? And what it really means is know who you are. Do you know what I mean? Really know who you are. Master yourself. And when you can do that, you own that. You own your power, you own your energy, and you own who you are. And then you can begin to use it in the world. You know, you might hear me say this a lot. To hone your craft, and I do say this a lot, that you become sort of like, you have to be responsible for the energy that you bring. You have to become impeccable with the energy that you bring. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, light body is a series of ways of clearing. In order to come in to play this game, if we're a spark of the divine, then to come in to play this game, we have to shut that down. We have to shut off everything that we are. And you come in as for, you know, what of a different word, just like how, say, Daniel explained in the session that we had with Daniel, in the podcast we had with Daniel, that, you know, we kind of lose everything.
All of our memory.
Common sense, every kind of sense, you know, special sense, everything. We lose that. So the veil comes in, and what the veil does is that it shuts down. But what is that veil? That veil is crystals. It's what we call, you're carrying, most of us are carrying like a second soul on board, which is called the Nephilim soul. Most of us have keepers that we're not in connection with. These are other beings that are in the body that run all the systems, but they have a contract with us to hold us in this place of holding all this kind of dark energy. We have crystals within us that are not serving us any other purpose other than bouncing back out the light or absorbing the light. So we don't get access to that which comes in. And those crystals can also block our energy channels. Mm. And so with Lightbody, what Lightbody is doing is restoring you back to the original blueprint, restoring you back to who you originally are. And then you begin to tap into all that you are. Who are you? What are those gifts? What do you do? What do you see? How do you travel? And that's what the light body does. And so in the first part of light body, you know, you're clearing. We spend a lot of time clearing away a lot of stuff. And then in the later part of it, we begin to build. We build in the systems, we run the systems, and then we begin to build on that and activate those systems so that you can step into that which is waiting for you. And it is literally waiting for you to step into. And it's almost as if with as well as that, you know, it's almost like you're stepping into, you begin to run like on a different power source. It's a different kind of energy. But my light body is also very different. You know me, I'm never going to be straight down the side. So my light body is very different. For most light body surgeons, they have 6 sessions. I don't. I have 7 sessions minimum. Some people, though, will have a lot more sessions because the sessions, that is, say, devices and stuff like that, sometimes people need more than 1 session on devices and things like that. But I kind of start my light body quite different. So, because I also do J seals and other unnatural implants. So there's a lot of work that's done in order to make you become free. I really am about becoming free and, you know, getting out of the matrix in a way that you are really able to make your choices about how you move through this world and how you are in the world. I suppose that's why I'm quite big on, I don't like people telling me what I can and can't do, or who I can and can't do, or what I can and can't do. I really am. I can get quite blinkered about it. Don't tell me what to do.
I don't know who would dare.
No.
Oh, people do. It's very funny. People can come around me and people think, you know, I'm quite easy and I'd like to think that I'm quite easy and quite jolly and stuff like that, you know, and quite happy. And sometimes it can, I don't know, people can get quite, what's the word? Territorial, which is quite strange.
I mean, when you have magic in your space, you want to keep it to yourself. So
yeah, I get that.
Yeah. And you know what? People will question sometimes. I can go into dark, energetic spaces, and I can. And I think it can make people frightened. And they don't understand. But if you think about it, it's not really for you to understand. It's my work and it's what I do. And, if I think about it, I've kind of grown up like that. My parents did that kind of clearing of that kind of dark energy. So as much as I may not want to be in it full time, I want to do it all the time and stuff like that, I seem to get drawn into dealing with these kind of dark energies and things like that. So, you know, I don't tell everybody else what they're supposed to do. And I just think it's more because I think the Matrix does enough of that. You know, so I don't think you need me to tell you what to do.
No, but there is something, I apologize. There is something about your sessions where, you know, it's interesting because as you read what each one is, unless you're really in understanding and really have done your research and really know what the heck is going on, you can read it and go, I have no idea what this actually means for me. Right. And so I will use me as the example. I had no idea what a J seal is. I had no idea that I had a Nephilim and what that, like crystals and devices and all these things, keepers, you know, like what is that? And so the way you went through each session, at least in my experience, is you simplified it so much. I know you like working with the people who are already on their journey, right? You're like, you get it, people get it. And I feel like I get it, but your work was so new to me where I felt like I had no idea what I was coming into, but I had to do it. And so it's one of those where you're like, oh, you're going to experience this or you may experience that. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I probably won't experience any of that. And then with each session, I'm actually experiencing the thing that you're like talking about. And you're like, do you feel this? And I'm like, yes. But it's like, it was one of those where going through each session by session, I cannot pinpoint exactly what it was, but I felt the change within me. I know who I am today. And we had our sessions, we started months ago, not even years or anything. No. But I know where I am today is large in part having to do with the light body session, the work I did with you. And I can't even explain to you exactly what it was. I can't tell you. I just know that has impacted my life in a way that I just can't even explain, in such a beautiful, beautiful way. And it's like you start and that voice begins and I'm like,
I know. So I'm going to jump in. Exactly the same thing. So, you know, someone asked me what is light, but like, I don't know. You just got to do it. And I start gushing, right? It's like, don't know. Everyone has to do it. But I echo what Yana was saying, because, you know, what I found was you can't pinpoint what happens in each session or how things start to shift in your reality. But what I can say that I very much noticed is not that, you know, I don't need to do healing work or any of those things, but things became much easier to navigate. I felt like it really raised my level of consciousness to a point where things that used to affect me, say, don't affect me, or I can just notice them and they move through. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like it raises the consciousness to a new level. You're operating at a different level. You don't need the same things that you used to need.
Yeah.
And the other thing was, you know, I have, you know, some clear senses or, you know, various, you know, things that inform me, where you call them gifts or abilities or whatever they are. And they became so much clearer. And it's like, there's no question of them anymore. So it's that confidence in the ability, and then to move from that place. It's just like, it's like you know, a different person in a different timeline, right? but really, you know, so you know, if someone asked me why to do Lightbody, I would. It really is really becoming more of who you truly are.
Yeah,
that's how it feels.
That's perfect. That's beautiful. Yeah.
And I have,
and it's just the best thing ever. So everyone book in for Lightbody.
It is, and I concur with what Yana and Lauren said completely. I've had exactly the same experience, and for me, I'd never even thought of the concept of sovereignty. I don't even think I'd ever even said the word. And anyone that knows me in my sphere would not think that I had any problem with sovereignty. You know, I am somebody that has no problem saying no and has reasonable boundaries and things like that. But the experience of Lightbody has really changed my perspective of me so much as well. And I'm so much more aware of me. And I don't mean in any sort of obsessed way. I just mean it's a whole different level of awareness, and I don't know how it works either, ladies. And like Yana and Lauren, I've done a lot of work. I've done a lot of treatments. I don't know how anything's going to be more significant than Lightbody activation. I don't understand how it gets more than that kind of thing, because it's, 5 stars. 100%.
Do recommend. We do recommend.
Thank you.
You know what's interesting? Your whole thing is, I want to help people remember. Right. And so it sounds beautiful, but in my mind, I was always like, well, what does that mean? And how does it show up? And like, how can I remember? Right. Like you always talk about, you're like, oh, I know I've had lifetimes as this and that, and I feel it and I dip and I do that. And I'm thinking to myself, I've never had that experience. And then recently, as I've shared with this group, having that moment where you're in the shower and that water is hitting you, and all of a sudden all this information comes in. And I remember having this almost like, I don't want to call it a meltdown. It wasn't that. It was one of those where it was like, why do I know this information? Did I already know this information? Did somebody tell me? Or is this coming from me? And I hate the word download. I hate when I hear that. But it was like this information like sunk in. And I remember it was so powerful that I had to put myself to sleep early because the pressure of it was so much. And then within the next like 2-3 days, what I realized, oh, this is what Amanda is talking about. I somehow remember that I knew that information, and I can't explain it. I have no idea how that's showing up. And since then, it's like I've had another significant moment like that where I'm like, oh my God, this is the result of Amanda. I'm remembering. And now it's like, I absolutely understand what you mean when you say, I need to help people remember. And I can't even put it into words. So I'm not even doing this any justice, right? Because
I was just going to jump in because when you were speaking, what came to me, it's like, it's almost, to make it sort of tangible for other people. It's almost like you're in the middle of the day and then you suddenly remember this dream you had during the night and you remember all the details and all the unfolding. It's not like it trickles through. It's just like, boom, the whole thing's there, right? It's almost like that, but it's more intense and more powerful and all of those things, whatever, it's different, but that's what it's like. It's like all of a sudden I remember all of it. It's not like it slowly trickles in. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, I know that nobody told me this. I know that I didn't just experience this in this life. It's just this knowing. But it's like a knowing of like a lot of shit. A lot of information came in and you're connecting dots where you're like, it's just blowing your mind.
Yeah, 100%. And that is it. That is all of it. All of what you guys have said is that is it in a nutshell. And there does come a point, though, I do think, for some people whereby the remembering stops and then they begin new things. That can happen as well, where new things begin to arrive that they haven't because they're experiencing it now, or they're pulling that through, or that information you didn't have access to, or it's coming in to you from, even in the sense, from your own sort of original planet or your own sort of soul family. They're now giving you access to other information, or you know what I mean. I think for me, how I use Lightbody, I call it a journey, and I think it is a journey. I think people do need to So I'll say it like this. It was really funny when I worked with Rachel, because if I may say this, because when we first did our call, Rachel was like, look, she said, I wanted to do Lightbody, but I think it's way over my head. She says, I have no idea what it is, and I just think it's way over my head. She says, but I do want to work with you. So what can you suggest? You could do this, you could do that, you could do this. You could do that. And
I'm desperate to be in your girl gang.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And I thought, So, I mean, like, I did suggest, obviously, just do the J seals first. But you know what? It was only afterwards the J seals. I thought to myself, Jesus Christ, if there was anything that could be more off the wall, it's J seals. And that's the first thing I suggested to her was J seals.
I'm telling you, the Nephilim is more off the wall than the J seals.
I would think the Nephilim is really.
Yeah. The Nephilim is the winner.
Yeah. Because you could. Well, yeah. But you know what? I suppose it's different strokes for different folks. Each session is very, very different. But what I was saying was that you would not find me unless you were ready for a quantum leap.
Yeah.
That's why I say, in a sense, if you're at the very beginning of things, I may be a tad too far.
Too much. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I'm really not what we'd call a 15-6er, whereby you're going round and round and round in circles, and it's 101 questions and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm not that person for you. I'm just not. So if you're ready for quantum leap, if you're ready for changing your life, and it doesn't always mean that it's going to be immediate. Sometimes it's a down, it's a ways down, and suddenly bang, 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 things start shifting, things start moving, and everything like that. Then you will find me. A lot of people kind of know that they have to work with me, which has been kind of new for me. If I'm very honest, it's been kind of new for me and quite surprising that people will, and also people will get sort of like, if they think about working with me, then all of a sudden a whole load of other Amandas show up, whereby they've never seen or heard of Amandas before. And that's happened, not just to one, but quite a few people that has happened. And I think the first time somebody told me that, I kind of laughed. She'll know who she is when she hears it. I kind of laughed. I kind of thought, well, that's really interesting. That's really quite funny. And then afterwards, that other people have said that. And then people say that they've dreamt me, and things like that. So it's not, I suppose, is it me or is it the actual work? It's the actual expansion that they're looking for. I think that's what it is.
No,
Do you know what I mean?
no, it's
Oh, okay.
It's you. It's you.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, when I first heard about Lightbody, there was you weren't associated with that. The knowledge
Me
came
too.
to me, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting.
Mm.
I'll
wasn't
probably do it
interested.
one day." And I table it, you shelf it. And then meeting you in our divine healing training, it was one of those where like, oh yeah, if you're going to do it, it has to be with you. There's this energetic resonance, and there's something about you where it's like you just know that you know what you're doing.
Mm. Amanda
It's
means
confident
business.
Right.
Really.
Yeah, but it's
Like-
confident authority without being domineering. Like
Correct.
that's what Amanda does.
Oh,
like
that's
she
a very
holds
good
Love
way of
that.
putting it.
this
And
the
not
most solid
that,
space.
You also really need to trust. You have to have a level of trust with your practitioner or whatever it is
You
you're
do.
doing, right?
Mm.
And there's just something about you where it's like you exude this like whatever this energy is, I just know for me,
Protective love.
yeah, that I'm in good hands. I don't understand what you're going to do. And so that requires a lot of trust, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could be doing God knows what, but it feels like I don't know what I'm getting myself into, but it feels like I need Amanda to be the person who introduces this thing and helps me accomplish this thing. So it's this energetic
That's really interesting.
resonance. Oh yeah.
Because
Oh,
I think that for me, I'm thinking that when I send out the information, you know what you're doing. So it's all good. I didn't think you were just placing yourself, and I'm saying, in my hands, not knowing, not having
You send
a clue. I just
You
think
send the information, I go, no, I'm not reading that. I'm just going to show up and Amanda can do what she likes.
I read through it, but reading etheric crystal removal as words and
nothing.
experiencing
Yes.
etheric crystal removal as a process are not
is
the
as a
same
process is very different things.
Yeah.
It's very different things. Yeah. And I forget that sometimes I don't tell people that, and which I should. I'm trying to remember more. So after that, Lightbody can come with its own form of like noises or shapes or things, or I have like a vacuum that we use to sort of like suck out any sort of like sponge that's left behind or any kind of energy.
Sure.
We use that.
Listen, if you ever wonder if people are come to you because of who you, Amanda, are, just think about the fact that it takes you, with all love and grace, 1,000,000 days to get back to an email. And people are still like, I still am waiting for you, Amanda. The fact that they're not like, clearly she's not interested, I'm moving on. So that is just always think back to that people just want to be in that energy. And so, which is why like we sit here as a group of 5 women, but we love and appreciate each other. And when it comes to you, there is just something about you that is just so powerful and beautiful and just all loving, consuming. Like, girlfriend, we are just Team Amanda all day long.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
you're fan club.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much.
Okay, if anyone emails Amanda, if anyone emails Amanda, just wait. She will get back to you.
I'm going to bypass the email and just harass you directly. Now I know. Because I'm signing up now.
She also takes off every 5th week.
I do. But yeah, no, I will definitely get back to you. It's just that I'm a one-man band, and it's
you're busy.
And you're busy.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. But I will get back to you. But I get great joy out of seeing people become.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's about. It's about you becoming whatever it is that you're growing into, because the journey is the journey to light. It's the journey, to mean, It's the journey to who you are. And I think that we are, what's the word? We are handicapped before we even start the game.
Yeah.
You know, it's a bit like Squid Games. You know what I mean? That sometimes you are handicapped before you start the game. And I just think I'm that person that's come in and that's just said all gloves are off, and I just don't think it's fair. And I think it's a load of crap, and I'm just not doing this anymore. And this whole wheel and this whole reincarnation thing, and nobody's got a bloody clue what they're doing and how we're doing it and everything like that. I just think, no, tell the truth and just let us start to make our own decisions. But, you know, that's not going to serve the purposes of the dark forces, because, you know, it means that they don't get the food that they need to get. But I think that it's time to make that change. It's time to make that shift. I always believed from a very young child that I didn't really know. If you had asked me at 16 or 17, what is it I'm here to do? I would have said to you that I'm here to help people to make the jump. That was all I knew. I didn't know what it meant, but I knew that there was something that was coming. And I would have said to you, I'm here to help people make the jump. And so that's what I'm here to do. And in order to make that jump, you've got to know who you are and know what you're working with. And it's not ego that makes you think, you know, well, I'm good at this or I'm good at that. It's not. That's what we're told. If you say, you know what, this is what I do and I'm good at it. It's not. When you can step into that, then that's why I said, then you hone your craft. You do everything that you can. Do you know what I mean? You'll do all your work. You'll do all your research. You'll do whatever it is that you need to do to grow it and to make it beautiful, so that when you work with people, you're bringing them the very best of you. And if you sit there with, oh, you know, I do a bit of this, I'm not really good at this, I'm doing a bit of this, I'm not really good at that, I'm not really good at that, then you don't bring you to the table. Do you know what I mean? So maybe I might do a little bit of that. I sometimes say, well, you know, I don't really know why people are working with me. But what I'm saying is that if it comes to, say, Lightbody and things like that, and intuition, I know what I do. And I know what I do well. And so because I want to, because I know what that can develop into for people. And people find who they are and step into that power, step into that beauty. It's nothing better than that.
I love that. Do you feel like a mother who's like watching her child grow up?
I'll put it like this.
You're like, no, lady.
Yeah, I think when I see whether queens or kings or goddesses and gods step into their power and doing their thing, it's just phenomenal. But I know that it's not just, and I'm going to be very honest, it's not just Lightbody, it's all the different things, it's all those different components that they have chosen to seek out or do that they've brought together, because those are their tools. Just like how, you know, we started off with me talking about all my different learnings and understanding. Those are all my tools. Those are all in my medicine bag. They're all in my medicine cabinet. And I will pull those out at different times. There was a time in my life whereby I was pissed with God, because I said, I don't understand why I got here, and I don't have none of my tools, nothing. I don't have me wand, I don't have me anything. Do you know what I mean? And I was mad as hell. And then I figured out that I was the, whatever it was.
You were the wand.
I was the wand. Yeah, 100%. I figured it out.
I love that. I mean,
and everybody has access to that.
Yeah. And you really are a beautiful example of what stepping into that looks like. So we appreciate you. We thank you for sharing your story with us. Before we let people know directly how they can find you, Kylie.
Fun story. I was shuffling before, so I'm using Cheryl Richardson's self-care card, and guess what 3 came out before we started talking?
What?
Courage and love.
Perfect.
So
and love. It's like Amanda in a nutshell.
In a nutshell. Power with love.
Yes.
Like they know.
You know, and you know what, Kylie? You know what's phenomenal about that? That's the thing that I always talk about is courage. I said, to do this work, it takes courage. And that's even what's on my website about being courageous souls. Do you know what I mean? To step into this lifetime, to step into this lifetime or this incarnation or any incarnation, and even stepping into this side of things takes courage to do this journey. And so I honor everybody because it takes a lot to do the
Can I
journey.
just add something before you wrap this up? Amanda, can you just do like a weekly sermon for everyone?
Yeah.
Can we just get a hallelujah? Seriously.
Amen.
With a couple of stories chucked in.
Amen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let the, what is it? The
Beautiful. Thank you.
catch spirit. We'd like to catch spirit.
Oh no, you don't want to catch spirit.
He's like, no, Yana.
Listen,
Thank you.
Amanda, we love and
Yes.
appreciate you and who you are for us and just for everybody. Why don't you let our listeners know where they can find you directly?
You can find me at thealchemyoflightbody.com. So,
Short,
and I look forward
sweet,
to hearing.
perfect. Yes.
I look forward. I just say I look forward to hearing from fellow travelers. I think maybe I was going to say before then that maybe that's what I'm doing. I'm gathering all these travelers. I'm gathering all these time travelers. But I also believe that if enough of us do the work, we can tip the scales, and so that we can tip the scales, tip the frequency, so that everybody in the planet who chooses to has the ability to step into that which is waiting for them if enough of us do it.
Yes.
We raise the
Beautifully
frequency.
said.
Love and gratitude.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. This concludes our episode. Thank you for joining us today. If you are interested in booking a reading, a healing, a guided meditation session, a light body activation with our fabulous Amanda, or simply you just want to say hello, head on over to yoursoulwisdomshow.com. We thank you for allowing us to create this beautiful space, and we hope you have a beautiful, blessed day. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.